All right, so ladies and gentlemen of Knucklehead Nation, welcome back to the Fighters Rep podcast. I'm here on a special episode of the podcast and extremely excited to be joined by, I'm going to have to say, world-renowned strength and conditioning coach, Taylor Ramsdell. Taylor, how are you doing, man?
I'm great. Thank you for that amazing introduction.
You've earned that introduction, Taylor. Right off the bat, man, I'm going to ask you, and the reason I'm really interested to have you on the show is because not only have I worked with you or had the pleasure of working with you and watching you do your thing at a Fighters Rep event, but you're coming off two of the most impressive wins, I think, in boxing with your client, Dmitry Bivol, having beaten Canelo Alvarez and then turning around and beating Cerdo. I mean, that's just absolutely insane, man. Kind of tell me how it feels to be in this position, not just for you, but also for Dmitry Bivol.
It's where we're supposed to be. We have a job whenever you're at that level. Our job is to win, and it feels great. I mean, with all that, it feels great. It feels fantastic. It's wonderful to be, at the top and to stay at the top. And it's taken a lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifice, and just dedication from everybody involved. And Dmitry Bivol has done an amazing job of stepping up to the plate when the pressure is on and, knocking it out of the park. So it's been a great experience. He's been champion. He's been the champion for 5 years. He's been the champion for over 5 years. It was just that the Canelo opportunity was what, put him on, not put him on, but put so many more eyes on him, which that's what we're so grateful for that opportunity to showcase, how good he is.
Yeah. And so you mentioned he was a champ for 5 years. I mean, were you working with him from that time? How long have you been working with Bivol now?
From right before he became champion. We've been together since 2017, so a little over 5 years.
Wow.
This last fight was our 11th fight together. The Canelo fight was the 10th fight together, and I believe it was the 9th defense, and then this was the 11th fight. The Cerdo fight was the 11th fight.
That's just absolutely insane, man. So I met you, right? I had the pleasure of meeting you and watching you do your thing in an amazing fight for Fighters Rep between Eddie Jackson and Connor Brackett. I mean, that was the fight. That was a fight that I won't forget. I mean, I loved that fight. Everybody that was there loved that fight. And Eddie Jackson, over 40 years old in that fight, held his own and came out with a draw against a guy in Connor Bracken.
He did more than hold his own, man. He did more than hold his own. But yeah. No, 100%.
So he fought a guy in Connor Bracken, significantly younger than a guy in Connor Bracken that's just surging, hasn't lost a fight yet as a pro. That's his only fight that was a draw against, your guy, Eddie Jackson. And, to see you do that, and then to see you jump to the world stage and, work with guys like Bivol is amazing. I wanted to ask you, how did you get to even know Bivol? I mean, isn't he from like Kyrgyzstan or something? How'd you get put in touch with him?
Well, so, to go kind of back a little bit, everybody, there's all different levels in this game, from the amateurs, from the smokers are starting to do those again, from the smokers to the amateurs, to the pros, like the organization, to they're all different levels, and every single one of those fighters, you don't start out as world champion. You work your way up. So any coach that has many fighters or is doing the deal has people at every level. You know what I mean? Because you're growing people and you're working with them, and there's different stuff. So it's not like jumping from one to the other. You're mixed in throughout the whole thing at all times. You know what I mean? Like on your card, on that same fight, Anderson Silva's kid was there. You know what I mean? Like you see there's so many, it's all intertwined because it's all the same world, and it's a very small world. And we're talking, MMA, boxing, kickboxing, is just combat sports in general. But then whenever you break those down too, the worlds are even smaller. And then to answer your question, with Bivol, he came to me. His previous trainer was getting ready to go on the road with a high profile client, and he called me because I've been training. Yeah, I've been in the professional fight industry as a strength and conditioning coach since 2009. So this is in 2017. So he knew that I worked with some guys. He was working with Dmitry Bivol and Sergey Kuzmin. His name's Jordan. And he called me and asked if I was available. You know, this guy, you know, he's a hard worker. He's got good potential and all this stuff. If I could take him on, I was like, sure, you know, send him my way. He came, him and Sergey Kuzmin, they came together. He's another boxer, great guy, great boxer as well. And we just started working together and we hit it off, and we've been working together since.
Okay.
We get asked that almost every interview. We just like to say it was just like, how'd you meet? We just say destiny.
I mean, it's pretty amazing, you know. And I see you on social media, Taylor. I mean, I see you out in Russia. You know, I see you out in Abu Dhabi doing your thing. I mean, you know, you've been doing this since 2009. That's a significant amount of time, but you know, when you consider the clientele you're working with, you know, pretty much this guy's at this point. I mean, I think it's hard to argue he's one of the best boxers 100%. In the world right now.
100%. He's a living legend, and I say that as a coach, and it's not an ego thing. It's confidence in his ability, you know. And it's not. I mean, people that watch us and watch our team, there's no. We don't blow smoke, you know. It's not. There's no BS. It's just, this is what we think, and this is what we produce, and the, you know, the proof is in the pudding.
Right, and it sure is. I gotta ask you a little bit about him too. You know,
yeah, of course.
You know, he's some of the things I notice about him when I watch him is, you know, he's hyper technical. I mean, I think it's his technique sets him apart, but he's also, and I was talking to Coach Derek Collinsworth, who's like a world level boxing coach on the show a week or two ago. He not only has world level technique, but he's got the athleticism, which is, you know, not everybody can have both, right? I feel like a lot of guys have one or the other. He seems to have both, and then I keep noticing he doesn't get tired. He doesn't seem to get tired. I mean, what can you tell me about this guy that, you know, can you tell me something that confirms what I'm seeing? Because he doesn't seem to get tired, and that's a testament to you if you know, you're doing that for him.
Thank you. No, I mean, it's in the training. It's in what we do. It's in him showing up, you know, and doing what we have him do. It's a team effort. You know, he does the work. We've got myself. He's got, you know, I think the best boxing coach in the world, since he trains the world champion, who is the best, in my opinion, the best boxer. So that means his coaches as well. And he does really good job in, you know, the sparring, the boxing work, all this, the work with me and the strength and conditioning. So, I mean, yeah, it's that thing, you know, that saying that, you know, hard work beats talent. Well, if you're talented and you work hard, you know, it's a hell of a combo. And that's what he's got too. And he is a very humble person. So we're always getting better. You know, we're always getting better. Like, immediately after the fight, you know, he and I sat down and we talked about some of the things he could have done better. You know, everybody's celebrating. We celebrated, of course, but before we even left the locker room, like we talked about it, you know, and that's the difference between those that make it to the top and just have a moment and then they're gone, and those that make it to the top and stay there. You know, we're always pushing to get better. And that comes down to the athlete themselves. You know, you can have the coaches, you can have the support team, you can have all that stuff around you that is really good. And, you know, I'd like to say, I mean, you need all that, but at the end of the day, it's his heart, it's his mind, it's his life, you know? So you've got to show up, and he shows up every time. So
I'm interested, you know, from your perspective as somebody who trains combat sports athletes all the time, right, is, you know, what's his best attribute like as far as his strength and conditioning? Like, what would you say is something he has that, you know, makes your job easier?
Gosh, that's a hard question. Good energy.
He seems to be fast. He seems to be pretty strong.
I mean, I think you're kind of asking, like, looking for a physical attribute, and it's not necessarily a physical attribute that I think that would be one of his best things. It's the energy. It's the energy that we share together. It's that we enjoy the process. He trusts me. He trusts me, and I explain to him the reasoning behind the stuff we do because he likes to know what we're doing and why we're doing it. So I explain it to him, and then it's the trusting in me, trusting the process, and then us just we have fun working hard. You know, I mean, there are times when we push it, and of course, you know, you have somebody do something, maybe they don't want to do it, but he does it because he knows the reason behind it, and he knows from our history, you know, that it's been proven time and time again. Every camp he gets better, so he does the work. So to answer your question, I don't think it's a physical attribute. I think it's just the energy, because it's also good energy. There's no negativity. I mean, we don't have the negativity around. We have no BS. We joke around. We have fun. We're like brothers. You know, I feel like he's my little brother, and we have fun. You know, because if you're in a camp, and whether it's a short camp, 4 to 6 weeks, or it's a whole like 8 to 12 weeks or whatever it may be, if you're just kill and the whole time, by the time the fight comes around, it's like I'm done. You know, so we enjoy it. We enjoy the process. We work hard. So overall, I mean, I think his best attribute when it comes to the gym, and that is just the energy he brings. I don't mean energy like cardio or strength. I mean, like, I'm talking like the hippie type, like the energy,
Right,
like what
like
you
attitude,
feel, you
like
know,
his
character,
yeah.
personality, attitude, the way he sees it, the way he is at the gym. Like, we're at a gym with other people, like he's very respectful of everybody. He has no ego, you know. And in this world of ours of pro sports, especially pro fighters, that's rare, you know. And it's respected by everybody. Like, when we go and we meet people, like, people like him and they want to see him win, you know, because of that energy. It's that energy. And now people are getting more of a chance to meet him because there's so many lights on him, you know.
Yeah, and he's got that. I mean, he does have that personality, right? Where, I mean, he's just a winner. I think that's what's resonating with everyone, right? He's not brash. He doesn't talk too much. But I mean, you go out there, you beat Canelo soundly, and then you turn around and beat an undefeated, you know, Cerdo. You know, people start talking, man. Yeah, I mean, even I thought the beating he put on Cerdo was even worse than the one he put on Canelo.
Yeah, it's just different.
And Cerdo's a naturally bigger guy.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. Like, when it was good. I'm glad, you know, the way it all worked out. You know, the Zerto fight was there, and he got to beat him, because with the Canelo fight, a lot of people were putting that on. The size. I mean, I don't know exactly. There's a meme that was going around, but I don't know. X a number out of Y of Canelo's last opponents. I'm not going to do numbers because the internet, like, the people say, no, that's right. Many of Canelo's previous opponents were taller than, better, longer reach than, all this stuff from Dmitry Bivol. Canelo beat him, so nobody talked about the size. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying it doesn't matter. It does. I mean, boxing, every single thing matters. But what happened in that fight with Canelo is that Bivol is just a better boxer than Canelo.
Yeah.
You know, he just did better. And then with the Zerto fight, you know, he did, I'm not going to say he did the same thing, but he won dominantly against a bigger guy, you know. And none of us were like, it's, you know, there's no excuses like, well, he's bigger. They weigh in the same weight. And I know you can balloon up. Like I said, I've been in the game a long time. But come on, man, there's weight classes. It's a weight class. You know, if somebody wants to put on 40 pounds the night before the fight, go for it. Like, you know, we'll smoke you. Like, it's like, you don't want to do that. So with that, and it's the point. My point is that, like, I hear all the stuff about the size. It comes down to who's the better boxer, who's not more ready, but just who's the winner that night. You know, who you got to have the boxing skills. You've got to be prepared. Like, what my job is to make sure that when it goes 36 minutes, that every single minute he gets better. And the way he gets better every single minute is he may maintain his condition while the opponent starts getting, you know, a little worn down. So then you start doing this, and then hopefully everybody comes prepared. And if you're just level right here, then it comes down to the boxing, you know. But you've got to be 100% at this lane. You got to be 100%.
Now you're training him. You know, you've trained Eddie Jackson with us for a kickboxing bout.
Eddie's great, man. Eddie's great.
You know, I'm assuming you trained MMA fighters as well. I mean, did you kind of get into the? I mean, kind of tell me how you got into the California scene, right? Are you from
Okay.
here? Because I think you're in Colorado right now.
No, I'm in Missouri now.
Missouri.
I moved to California. I moved to LA in 2009. And it was in 2009. A friend of mine, Jimmy Romero, had a fight club. He knew that I was training. He asked me if I'd be willing to work with some of his guys. I said, yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. Two of them, it was Victor Henry, Jordan Knight, and Kate McGray. Two of them, the guys
Wow.
are both in the UFC now. And so I trained them, and then it was very shortly after that I began training Zach Woolman. Rest in peace. Zach Woolman was a boxer from Wildcard, and we started working together. And then his manager managed other guys, and they did well. The next guy did well. They continued to do well, and it just kind of evolved from there. So MMA and boxing was right around the same time. I actually got into the MMA scene just a little bit before boxing, but really it was right about the same time.
I see. And did you meet Eddie through Saxon, or I mean, how'd you get in touch with Eddie?
Yes, I believe so, because I was actually thinking about that. And Saxon's my home gym. I mean, I'm in Missouri, but that's family. I train people all over Los Angeles. I mean, I didn't do this on purpose, but I got a Saxon shirt on right now because I always do.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, no, I love those guys. But I train people from all different gyms, and much respect to all of them. Because as a strength and conditioning coach, it was kind of like when I was starting out, it's almost like, I mean, you're a free agent and you're going around, so you don't have like a gym, and there were times when, because I was training so many, that I had to sit out of some fights. If two guys I'm working with are fighting, like I'm not going to train either one of you, best of luck. But Eddie Jackson, I believe that he came, Alan Joban, I was training Alan Joban, and I think Alan Joban was my introduction to Saxon with Julio Trana. Incredible coach. And I believe from there, I trained a bunch of those guys, and like that's my home gym out there. With that, I mean, and I train people from all over, but now at this stage, really, it's just Saxon.
And I mean, you're flying out all over the place doing this, huh?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I do everything virtually. Like right now, I still train one of the pros, George Garcia.
Yeah.
Train him. I train him every week here in Missouri. He's in LA. I do a virtual. I train one of his amateurs, Lovey, has some fights. I trained the Saxon Jr. I trained his kid not too long ago. So yeah, I'm still working with him. I mean, it's at a different capacity. I can't work with as many. But then when I'm in LA, I always go there and train. Julio, he coached me. He's my coach.
Yeah.
He coached me with Muay Thai. So yeah, I learned a lot from those guys.
So you fought in the past?
Not legally, no. My sport was American football, and I say American football because I travel so much. If I say football, they think soccer. So I started out with soccer, and I was very, very competitive. Like we traveled the country, all this stuff, and multiple teams, club teams, city teams, state teams, and then when I was in high school, I played my freshman year, and then my sophomore year, I was told by the coach, I told my parents that they thought that I was too small to play varsity. So I quit playing soccer and started playing football because that's just the way my personality was. I was like, all right, so I did that. And then my sophomore year, didn't know I was doing, rode the bench. Junior year, senior year, I was captain of the team. And then I went to Division I AA school here to play football. But then at that time in my life, sex, drugs, and rock and roll were more important to me. So I quit and chased that rabbit for a while. And then I ended up many years later in Los Angeles. So that's like a turbo speed, background of my history.
I love it, man. I love it. So going forward now, right? I think a lot of people are interested. I mean, what Bivol's going to do going forward. I think one of the suggestions is maybe he drops down a weight class to try to take Canelo's undisputed titles.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted your thoughts on that because Bivol, despite the fact that he's amazing in his weight class, he's not the biggest guy in that weight class, as we saw against Cerdo. Do you think he's capable of dropping down a weight class and taking those titles off of Canelo and really doing a boss move?
100%. It's just going to be expensive. That's it. Like, and at the end of the day, and Canelo is still Canelo, you know, like Canelo's name brings a lot of weight, you know. So what we want what Bivol wants. His dream and the legacy and what he is chasing and trying to accomplish is he wants as many belts as he can get, you know. So to fight Canelo, especially at 175, we did that, and it wasn't even close. It wasn't even close, you know. So with that said, so Beterbiev has the other belts at 175. That would be a great fight, but scheduling and time, you know,
that's a hell of a fight.
It's a hell of a fight. Yeah,
hell of a fight, man.
It's great, and styles make fights. You know, people have compared. Well, he fought this guy and this happened, and that one fought this guy and that happened too. But it doesn't matter. Like styles make fights. You know, so it would be a great fight. I see Bivol's hand being raised 100%. It would be a great fight, and that's what we want. Now, if they go down to 168, then there's belts to get. You know, but again, like people ask us all this stuff all the time. We don't know. We really don't know. I honestly, I mean, I knew that the talks were on and everything was going. But I found out that we had the Canelo fight about the same time as all Instagram knew. I woke up from a nap in Uzbekistan and I'm like, like we got the Canelo fight. Like sweet, you know, like because it's a fast business, but it's also like the news travels fast, you know. So like as soon as they know, we know everybody knows, because we always get that like, what's next? I'm like, I don't know, I just got home. I don't know.
So
but
Uzbekistan,
that's probably the two. It's probably going to be, you know, either Canelo or Beterbiev. But then again, it could be somebody completely different, you know, because it's a business, and that's, I don't know. I just make sure that he's ready to fight whoever it is, and it just doesn't matter. Just give him the fight and we'll go.
Right. And you mentioned Uzbekistan. What were you doing out in Uzbekistan?
That's where we started the camp for the Canelo fight. We were starting because we knew there was going to be a fight coming up. We just didn't know like even this time, like we were in Kyrgyzstan and started this one, but you start the camp, but they're still working business stuff out. You know, where it's going to be, the promotion, like all the business side that I don't do. We have a great manager, Vadim Kornilov. He's the one that handles all that stuff. And you know, when the phone rings, I answer it and we go. Yeah. And so that was the answer. Uzbekistan is where we started the Canelo camp.
And is Uzbekistan a good spot? Because I mean, boxing is like pretty popular there. There's a lot of sparring there, or is there a reason for Uzbekistan?
Actually, when we're in Uzbekistan, the beginning of camp, there is no sparring. We just go there. Dmitry likes to kind of be out in the middle of nowhere, and we go to the mountains. It's elevation, you know. It's just a good way to start the camp. To come in, we go there with a group of guys, other friends, boxers, you know, and we just train. It's usually around 3 weeks, and then from there we go to wherever we're doing the rest of the camp. There's no sparring in the beginning, but our connection to Uzbekistan is our team includes a whole lot of great Uzbekistan boxers. All those guys that are taking over the scene right now are our guys, you know. So it's a really good place for boxing, and they loved having us there, and they treated us great. It was amazing.
Yeah. Taylor, let me ask you. So, you know, since that Canelo win, I mean, it doesn't get more high profile than that, really, in the sport of boxing. You know, is the phone ringing off the hook now? I mean, how has your life changed in these past year, pretty much?
Man, I go to work the same as I did before. You know, all the same stuff. I've had more opportunities. There's been more media stuff like this. You know, there's more recognition, but the job is the same. You know, the job's the same. I still train my people. You know, I'm still driving the same car till it dies. Like, it's all, you know what I mean? It's really the same. I've been asked that before too, and like I feel like I should be like, oh man, I'm flying over this, I'm doing that, but honestly, man, I'm a coach. So after that's done, like I celebrate the victories for a very short time, you know, but then, you know, a couple days, and then after that, it's back to work. And the same thing if you lose, like. That's one thing that I hear a lot of people like. I don't know where it's coming from. It's a little bit of a tangent, but that whole thing, like, you either win or you learn. I hear that a lot.
Yeah.
Nah, there is no learn column. There is no learn column. You win or you lose, and you learn both. You learn from both. You learn from both. You know what I mean? And either one, you hold on to for a minute and then you move past it. Because if you just sit there and you rest on your win, somebody's gonna take it from you. If you just sit there and rest on a loss, you got to get your ass up and get moving on and go to the next thing. You know what I mean? So, and I think it's good to recognize, and I understand the principle behind it. I understand the mindset. Like, you learn, it's a better way to look at it. But I like to look at it like, we won, cool. Now we move forward. Like I said, we talked about it in the locker room, what we can do better, the dressing room, whatever. And then if you lose, it's like, hey, let's look at it and see what we can do better, and then you move on. With that said, it sucks to lose, and it's much better to win. It's much better. It's much better, and it's been great, man. Like, we all are very humble with all of it, but it feels really good. Like, it feels great. It feels really good. It's good to have the eyes on us a little bit more, because we've earned it, man. Like, we've been working, we've been in it. People say pay your dues or whatever. We've paid our dues, and a lot of people pay dues and never get there, and that's fine. But the people in the community know, the people in the community know. So yeah, it feels good. But life's the same, man. Life's the same.
Yeah. I remember watching Bivol for a while. I'm a big boxing head, and
okay.
I've been watching Bivol for a while, and when he beat Joe Smith Jr.,
mm-hmm.
I was like, man, because like he schooled Joe Smith Jr., right?
Yes.
And I was like, okay, this guy's like really talented. I kept watching him. He had one fight in England where he fought. I think his name is Richards, the Spider Richards. Yeah.
2020, maybe 21. I can't remember.
Right, and people were like, oh, he looked a little bit flat in that fight, and I think that's probably the reason Canelo thought.
He did.
Yeah.
I mean, that and he didn't look flat in that fight. But what happened was, Craig Richards he's a clever boxer. I mean, it was just some weird stuff, and it wasn't Bivol's best performance. You know what I mean? I mean, he clearly won, but that, and then the Joe Smith Jr. is funny you say that fight, because that's the one that I was just talking about earlier. Like, people have asked, like, is Beterbiev, I think, knocked him out in like the third round. And Bivol and Joe Smith Jr. went the distance. I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, styles make fights.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, the Craig Richards fight, we got that win. He got the win, Move forward.
Yeah.
But like what you're saying, maybe that's why. I don't know.
I almost feel like, though, people saw that fight and they said, well, maybe he's losing his step, or maybe he's just not motivated. Let's, and I'm sure Canelo's team was like, oh, let's go after this guy now. He didn't look so great in that last outing. It looks like it kind of backfired on them. That's got to be a good feeling as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, and I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, you'd have to ask them. I don't know why they wanted it or didn't want it, and I don't know if they wanted it. You know what I mean? Like, you can put out there on social media whatever you want, but like I said, I don't know I know more than most on the behind the scenes stuff, but when it comes down to the other team, I have no idea. No idea what they were thinking. We knew we were going to win. I mean, of course, you have to do that's like, I'm not saying I got a crystal ball, and I'm not saying that it's impossible to lose, but I 100% believe, not just off of a whim, but through being educated in the sport and having experience and watching, if we all did our job, and if Bivol showed up and does what he does and does his job, he was going to win the fight. He was going to win the fight. Like, you look at it, like, and he's just going to win. The only reason I see that it was such a upset, because I don't think it was an upset, but it was an upset to so many people, is because Canelo is such a famous name.
Yeah.
And like, he's fighting who? That was the thing. That was the thing. But in boxing, people knew, like, and that's why, like, Canelo knew who Bivol was. You knew who Bivol was. So. Yep. But it's hard as being a human to see somebody that's such an icon, and somebody that's not very well known, and just even like bring yourself to really believe that this unknown person can win.
Yeah.
We did believe. Dmitry believes in himself. His family believes in him. Us, his boxing family, we believe in him. So we saw that win happening, and it's not some like. I mean, yeah, manifesting, but it's not something like visualize and see it happening. We just did our job. And then at the end of the day, man, when Bivol gets in the ring, he's the one that's got to go and do it. you know, and he shines, man, under those lights. He shines, you know. It's impressive. It's inspiring because so much pressure, and he rises to that. You know, he loves the challenge. He wants these fights. He's been saying it for a long time. He wants these great fights. And that was another thing, is that having the Canelo fight, that was a great opportunity. That's not like some big ultimate goal of his. You know, that allowed him to continue. Now we had the Zerto fight, you know, and now we have this next fight. It allowed him to have these big fights. He wants big fights, is what he wants.
Yeah,
he wants big fights that people will talk about forever. That's what he wants.
And I think people respect that. And you know, they're talking about fighter of the year, and I don't see how you don't get
100%.
fighter of the year. Yeah, I don't see how you can deny him fighter of the year after beating Canelo and then Cerdo back to back.
Yeah,
I mean,
44-0. He gave him his first loss. He beat Canelo dominantly. He gave Cerdo his first loss dominantly. I believe so, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, those are really, he should get it, but I have no idea. You know, I don't know.
So tougher fight, you know, dropping down to I believe it's 168 to fight Canelo, or staying at 175 and taking on Beterbiev. What do you think is the tougher fight?
Either one. I mean, let's go. Either one. Let's go. Like, I mean, they're different fights. They're different fights. You know, going down and then coming back up. You know, you've got to deal with the different weight stuff and all that. You know, it wouldn't be too bad to fight Beterbiev at 175, then go down to 168, take all the belts. It doesn't matter. I mean, just like all that stuff, the time and the schedule and the business. That's what Vadim does, the manager, and then we show up and do the deal. You know, but it's great. It's two really good fights. The Beterbiev one is straight off, you know, in my head, in my opinion, the one to be made, because it's 175 and it's for undisputed. But there are issues with that because he's got to fight, I don't know the date, but a little bit later on, and then there's Ramadan, so there's a lot of time and stuff. So right. You know, and Canelo's Canelo. You know, Canelo's hungry, and he's got the name recognition, and so we'll see. And also all the stuff we say, like, you know, there's no disrespect. This, like, as far as Canelo goes, man, much respect. I was on the elevator after our fight, and it was Canelo fans everywhere. I mean, it was everywhere. It was wild. Yeah. Great fans. You know, they are great fans. He's their hero, and they come and support in huge numbers. And that's why it's such a great fight. What's such a big fight? Because of the fans. You know, Canelo's one of the GOATs, and he's got a huge fan base. And I was in the elevator, and like, I didn't have any of my Bivol stuff on, where I was going to meet some people, and they all kind of looked, and, you know, I'm shaved head tattoo, so they recognize. They're like, hey, you know, congratulations. I was like, man, I was like, thank you. I was like, can you guys? I was like, and I told them, I was like, thank you. You know, you guys are great fans. Like, you guys made the night and made this event what it is, and also, you guys are great fans for Canelo. Canelo is still Canelo. Canelo is your hero, and Canelo should still be your hero. He lost one fight. You know what I mean? He's still Canelo Alvarez, and he's still accomplished all these great things. It's just that tonight, Bivol won. You know, and so, like, because, you know, nowadays sometimes people get a loss, and people are like, they hang it up on him. I'm like, dude, no, it's still Canelo. I mean, obviously I'm 100% team Bivol, but like, from a fan, if I step back and just as a fan, those are two great boxers. You know, Canelo's had his time. He's still in it. He went from the Bivol fight and fought Triple G. You know what I mean? It's not like he's hurting for, you know, anything. Like, he went and he fought Triple G after that, you know, and performed really well. I just see right now it's Bivol time, you know, and he's going to keep shining. So, yeah, it's great opportunities. He's seeing more opportunities now.
Taylor, are you involved with the nutrition as well, or just the strength and conditioning for Bivol?
For some, I am. Bivol, he just eats right. Like, he just eats right. He doesn't do like a big weight cut. I mean, that gets asked a lot. It's like the way that he really makes weight at the end is he just like narrows down like the sweets. he eats a little bit less sweets. He eats a little bit lighter. Obviously, I mean, you got to lose weight, and we switch up the method and the way we train a little bit. But there's no big like hot baths and all this stuff. Like, he just truly diets down, which is also why the 168 is a possibility. It'll be harder than 175. I mean, you know, because you know, he walks around at, I don't know. If he's 200 pounds, he feels bleh, you know what I mean? So like maybe
Yeah.
starting camp. I don't know what he started camp at this last time. And we share all this stuff. Some people are real private with. I think it's like maybe 195 or something, something 90. He's not a great big thing, you know, and that's not training. So as soon as you start training, I mean, you shed off those pretty quick.
And
So
you said
no, to
eat
answer your
right.
question, nutrition, he just eats right. Like, he eats healthy, you know, like he likes
Yeah.
meat, vegetables, you know, he eats like what we think you should probably eat, you know, like just
Okay. Okay. And what is that? You know, I'd love, you know, the audience to know. You know, I'd love
yeah.
to know myself. You know, what do you kind of recommend that these combat sports or any athletes kind of eat to stay in shape year round?
It's funny because I always say the most simple. I need to write a book and title it this, but the thing is like if you want to progress, and like the easiest way to look at it is just don't eat like an asshole. Like literally, like don't eat like an asshole, and that can go all ways. Like you can have like if you're eating like if you just eat junk all the time, you know you're eating junk, you know. And a lot of these
Yeah.
guys,
Yeah.
they don't need to hone down on 100% on what they're eating. They don't need to be all super picky and measuring all this stuff. Just stop eating like an asshole, and there's probably going to be progress there, you know. And
Yeah.
then once you
Yeah.
get to that certain level, and you're cleaned it up, and you know, and you're eating well, then if you need to take it to the next level, now you can start getting real picky. But I'm telling you, I think no exaggeration, I'd say 90% of, I'm talking about athletes, not just general population, athletes. If they would just abide by that, like they'd see progress. And like I said, that can go both ways. I mean, you can have somebody that, you know, if you're at a dinner with friends or whatever, and they're all like, they bring out their, and for no reason, just like they bring out their Tupperware, like that's also eating like an asshole. Like enjoy the evening. But if you have a certain event coming up, you know, so yeah, I mean, it's kind of a broad answer, but you know, I'm a fan of high protein. I'm a fan of carbs. If you're training hard, you need carbs. That's your energy. If you want to lean out real quick, whether it's for, you know, if you got a beach day or something coming up, I mean, you can cut out the carbs for a couple days, you know, sugar, salt, and you can lean out. But if you're just talking about athletic performance, you need the carbs, you need a lot of protein, and you just need to not eat like an asshole.
I love it. I love it. That's legendary, Taylor, man. I could go all day, man, but you know,
Right on.
I've already had you on for a while. You know, I really appreciate your time. I wanted to ask you, you know, anyone you want to thank, anything you want to say, you know, the platform is yours. Anything you want to express before I let you go.
Man, I mean, yeah, I could sit here all day and thank people. Thank you for having me on your show. Thank all
Thank you, man. Thank
thank
you.
all the guys that have trusted me along the way in the process. My home gym. Thank you, Saxon. And thank you, you know, Dmitry Bivol. I mean, right now, you know, I mean, he's the one that's bringing the lights on all of us, and we've all been in the game a long time, but it's because right now what we're doing, you know, with this team that it's really shining. So, yeah, I'm just grateful to have a start. Back then, Jimmy sent me those guys, and I mean, I can go on all day. I love, you know, recognizing people and this taking the whole thing where people say I'm self-made. Shut up. Like, no, like we all come up with many people around us. And I get the point, but I mean, we've all had a lot of help along the way in one way or another,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
so
yeah. I agree, and that's part of the reason I wanted to get you on here, you know, because like, you know, even our paths crossed at one point, and I hope it happens again, you know. Any chance we see you anywhere back near the Lions Den for another kickboxing event?
Yeah, no, I'd love to be out there. I don't know when I'm going to be in Los Angeles, but there's a show. You know, I'd love to come by. You put on a great show. It was a good show.
Thank
It was
you,
fun.
man.
It was fun.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I appreciate you, Taylor.
Absolutely.
Thank you, man. And where can people follow you on Instagram or anywhere else?
Just my name, Taylor Ramsdell. There's an underscore in between Taylor Ramsdell. Onlinepersonaltraining.com. You can buy workouts. And other than that, just keep watching and supporting, man. I greatly appreciate all the support. We've seen a lot of support, and it's really, we see it and we feel it. It's good. So I appreciate it.
Awesome, man. Awesome. I really appreciate your time. Guys of Knucklehead Nation, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for joining me and Taylor. Again, like, comment, subscribe to the channel, join the channel, and also follow us on Instagram at FightersRep. Follow Taylor at Taylor_Ramsdell. Follow as he continues to conquer
Let's go.
the 175-pound, 168-pound divisions. with Dmitry Bivol. Who knows? Maybe he goes up to
Hell yeah.
cruiserweight one day. Who knows what's going on there? You know.
And all my other guys too, from the
There you
very
go.
beginner amateur all the way up, all of them. Follow and support them
love
all,
it.
man. Everybody's working their ass off. We got a lot going on.
I love it. Well, thank you again, Taylor. Really appreciate your time, brother.
Thank you. Greatly
Have a
appreciate
good
you, my
one,
man.
man.
Thanks.
Thank
Peace.
you.